Today on RPG Horror Stories, we have a quick blitz of 3 stories, including a creepy nice guy infiltrating a West Marches server, a player getting kicked out in less than 2 minutes, and finally, another player who slapped their DM for literally no reason. Without further ado, let's get started. So, I would like to start by saying that I am not directly involved with this conflict, and neither is my character, but I still want to bring this up as I am friends with the rogue of this story and hope that this will be a bit of a wake-up call to others who might be in a similar position. This takes place on a West March server with lots of players. For those who haven't heard of West March, it's basically a large group of players with multiple DMs who run games on their own but also work together on smaller story arcs. I won't go into too much detail as different West Marches games run in different ways. Anyway, on to the story and its members. So recently, a member joined the server. He played a warlock and is the focus of this story, and found his way to the RP area of the server. At first, he seemed like a great player. He had an interesting character, at first, and was really friendly. He started doing some RP and quickly started showing signs that he was wanting to have a romance in character. He started to flirt with multiple female characters, including my friend, who was at the time playing a bard. He actually ended up getting into a short-term character relationship with my friend, but it ended quickly when my friend's bard was killed on a mission. Death on this server is a bit common, but we all understand this DM was not trying to kill anyone. He even ran a mission specifically to recover the bodies of the 2 killed players. Sadly, the bard was not able to be revived, and my friend had to make a new character. Obviously, the warlock was upset in character because the person he had feelings for, well, she died, but within 2 days he was back to flirting and hitting on almost every female character that entered the RP chats. My friend then got her new character done, a nice rogue which I personally liked seeing in RP. The warlock quickly shifted to trying to get with this new character. The rogue said in and out of character that they were wanting to start a new relationship with them as their characters had already grown close with another character and was planning on having a slow romance bloom with them instead. The warlock somewhat understood but still kept flirting and such. At this point, the rogue was starting to feel uncomfortable with his advances. We all kinda tried to help by telling the warlock that maybe he should tone it down. One person even taking it in character as his character, a fighter and will now be referred to as such, was close to the bard and was angry to see the warlock move on so quickly. This escalated to the warlock taunting a fight and saying he would beat the fighter with ease. Due to the rules on the server, PvP was not allowed unless you went to a specific area for sparring with others, and both players had to agree. So the fighter obviously challenged the warlock to a fair fight. This is where the warlock started backing out. He said out of character that he would never agree to a fight because he knew he would lose. For reference, it was a level 3 warlock against a level 6 fighter. So why did he challenge him in the first place? Anyway, we were all a bit annoyed that he was saying in character he would win in a fight, but then refusing to do so out of character. Things went on normally, and the rogue actually did start a wholesome relationship with another character, a paladin. The warlock had been given a short ban from the RP channels due to his constant interactions with the rogue, and even due to him breaking a few RP rules. For about a week, we had a calm and bliss time within the RP chats. Then, he came back. Within an hour of the warlock being allowed back in the RP chats, he found himself talking with the paladin. He then referred to the rogue as his sloppy seconds and asked how that made the paladin feel. The paladin, like any classic paladin would do, defended the rogue and became a bit verbally hostile with the warlock. The warlock threw a few more insults before heading off. I have no idea if it is just me that finds the warlock's attitude or behavior bad, but regardless, I disagree with how he treats others in the RP chats, and how he treats the females in particular. Let me know in the comments if I'm just overreacting to the whole thing, or if I'm right in feeling this way. Edit. So I showed the rogue, fighter, and paladin in the story, and they all loved it. A few points they said I should include is that the rogue was considering not playing her character when she was being harassed by the warlock. We had to help talk her into keeping her cuz we all enjoyed the RP with her. Also, there was this RP funeral for the bard and a lot of people showed up, but the warlock, the person who was in love with the bard, didn't show up at all and made no attempt to join. A Nice Guys RPG Horror Stories crossover. It would almost be wholesome if not for the contents of both of those subs. Yes, this warlock is not acting in the best way. I understand acting bitter in character over a breakup or the death of a loved one, that absolutely lines up, but if it's to the point where you're making the real life person uncomfortable, you're taking it too far. No matter what story you're trying to tell, your number one priority should be making sure that everyone at the table is having fun. If people aren't having fun, there's no point to playing a collaborative storytelling game like Dungeons and Dragons. The warlock making the rogue uncomfortable is what seals this story as a true horror story. Also, warlock is just straight up creepy. That too. Alright, next story. Just had an interesting experience. Was gonna play Dark Heresy 1E. GM sent me a bunch of PDFs and a core book with 2 expansions. Spent Monday studying them. Ended up making a tech priest using lathe stuff. Got told I must only use core book and also make a character with high fellowship since other players don't talk much. Okay, could have warned earlier, but I can deal with it. Spent Tuesday making a cleric. Thought about his personality, quirks, goals, and stuff. GM approved. On Thursday, the game starts. Inquisitor was explaining stuff to the party, my character wasn't there. I said I'll be back and walked away for 2 minutes. Came back, got told to roll a d10. Suddenly, I wake up in some laboratory with no memory because I didn't get out of some escape pod. Turns out, while I was away for those 2 minutes, GM explained how my character is going to be introduced to the campaign, despite me warning that I'm away from my keyboard. I protested against memory loss since it was so sudden and kind of defeated the purpose of making a character in the first place. GM said he's sorry for wasting my time, but I'm out, without even explaining anything, and that's how my first game of Dark Heresy went. This is yet another example of a DM trying to take control of a player character and their story, just dropping memory loss on this cleric in particular. Guys, don't do this. These characters don't belong to the DM, they belong to the player. They get to make these major choices for their character. Something like memory loss does completely change the trajectory a character goes. Don't drop that stuff on a character completely last minute like that, especially when they're not at their keyboard. But hey, for those 2 minutes of torture, OP at least got some PDFs out of the whole ordeal. Okay, next story. So, back in 2019, I DM'd for a group. It was a mix between noobs and experienced players. The story begins with the party in a tavern in the town of Neverwinter. There was a good vibe going on in the tavern, people were getting drunk, telling jokes, mocking each other playfully, all the 9 yards. The group was composed of 6 people. Some names were changed except for my cousin, she's cool with me saying her name in this post. Marco, Telma, Lisa, my cousin, Tiago, Bernardo, and Bruno. Tiago was the problem. He had a couple months of experience with D&D, but he was a jackass. He was Telma's boyfriend and Bruno's brother, and him and I were constantly fighting because of things that he didn't want to do, story-wise. Eventually, this spread to him bickering with the whole table because we were trying to play the story. The pan reached a boiling point when they were traveling in the general direction of Baldur's Gate. After a few interactions with them, silence struck and no one was saying anything. I started preparing a few encounters, yet Tiago was in annoying mode. Tiago, there he goes, preparing the railroad. Me, excuse me? Tiago, you are going to railroad us, and I know it when I see it. I wasn't. I hate railroads, to be completely honest, only do them when I really need to, like when I need to wrap up a session or when the scenario requires me to do so, and even then, I study alternatives. Me, buddy, I hate railroading. I wouldn't do an unnecessary railroad, like, that would be the stupidest thing ever. Tiago, right, and I'm the Emperor of Japan, stop lying. Me, I'm not. I would show the table what I'm doing, but it would spoil the next part of the story. Then show it to me. No, it's spoilers. No, it's a railroad. At this time, Bruno and Telma intervene. Telma said, I believe him. Hey, calm down. Bruno said, yeah, relax. I'm sure it's not railroad. Bruno and I are close. We were friends from way back, and he had played in a few of my one-shots and campaigns. He knows my ways and my pet peeves about running D&D. Tiago, oh my god, even my brother and girlfriend are riding your dick. I can't believe it. Telma just says, what the hell? No one's riding anyone's dick. Calm down and let him continue. Tiago responds, only when this idiot admits that he's railroading us. Me, I'm not railroading anyone. Tiago, liar. I'm pretty sure I heard a "re," but my friends don't remember that. It was at that moment that I got slapped with enough force to make me fall over. Marco and Bernardo are rugby players, so they tackled him. Lisa and Telma helped me get up, and Bruno was shocked. Bruno, why did you slap him? Tiago, he's lying. As soon as I got up, I put a hand on Bruno's shoulder. Me, it's okay, it's between me and him. I signed Bernardo and Marco to let him get up. Me, as long as I DM, you won't be in another game of mine. Now get out my house before I charge you for assault. We left and continued the session with no railroad since I was preparing an encounter with a band of kobold robbers. The aftermath. Tiago and Telma broke up about a month after this episode. Bruno and I remained friends, playing regularly. Telma is now one of my regular players. Lisa kept on playing D&D with me, Marco, Bruno, and Bernardo, playing MTG and lots of other nerd games with me to this day. Tiago is now playing in what I call the Players from Hell group, since it's composed of 5 players who were banned from groups all around this region of Portugal. TLDR, a guy accused me of railroading when I told him I wasn't, got pissed, and slapped me. Holy hell, that is the craziest story we have read yet on this channel. Straight up assault is something that is brand new to our quarter of RPG horror stories. I would say that's too crazy to believe, but I think it's the craziness that makes it believable. I mean, you can't just make this stuff up. It is absolutely insane. And quite frankly, it is possible for people to get this upset in the most irrational ways. I've worked deliveries for a while, and I've seen it happen a few times. It does happen, unfortunately, so I do think the story is perfectly realistic. Good on OP for handling the situation and keeping the group together. Alright, if you enjoyed this episode of RPG Horror Stories, then please do leave a like. If you want to see more episodes of RPG Horror Stories, as well as my other series, including my new Q&A series, which is coming in the next video, then please do subscribe to Crispy Tavern. And finally, if you want to leave your thoughts or your own stories, go down to the comments down below. In essence, like, comment, subscribe. I will see you all next time. Farewell.